Having just reread Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets for the first time in many years and in this beautiful illustrated edition, now seemed like a fitting time to discuss the classic 2002 to 2003 Chamber of Secrets Harry Potter sets. The sets released alongside the Chamber of Secrets movie really make for a perfect sequel to the sets we looked at in part 1 of revisiting Harry Potter. And that becomes abundantly apparent when you can see that they're all meant to be compatible with each other. It's another fantastic, whimsical lineup of kits, and I can't wait to share them with you, so hey, let's take a closer look. The next wave of LEGO Harry Potter sets dropped in September of 2002, just ahead of the new movie. The 8 new sets sought to recreate iconic scenes from the Chamber of Secrets, and in doing so brought a huge amount of variety to the already existing lineup of LEGO Harry Potter sets. We're going to begin our journey into the Chamber of Secrets with the smallest set of the wave, which is Dobby's release. Unlike most of the other sets that we're going to see in this wave, I really like this one because it isn't exactly referencing the scene from the movie. The little 8x8 scene that we see built up here is completely from the designer's imagination, and oftentimes it's those original ideas that make for some of the best LEGO Harry Potter sets. The 8x8 format does mean that it's compatible with those original Sorcerer's Stone sets too. Perhaps the coolest thing about the set though is 2 new exclusive minifigures. We get the first ever rendition of Lucius Malfoy. I think I just noticed for the first time right now that he's actually got silver printing on the torso. Pretty cool for 2002. The expression, printing, and hair are all pretty much perfect for the character. Pretty extreme for his time is going to be Dobby, who features one of the first ever custom molded heads for a minifigure. It's that more rubbery plastic too, so you don't have to worry about the nose or the ears chipping off on you. Assuming that LEGO didn't have the ability at this point in time to do some printing on these kinds of parts, you get molded details like eyes, which undoubtedly make the character a little terrifying. We saw the same thing going on kind of with the goblins from the Sorcerer's Stone sets. It's the pupils that really do it for me. And the level of detail going on in this sculpt is pretty crazy. It's a lot more detailed than you'd expect to see from figures today. Parts tend to be a lot more rounded out and smoother, and you lose a lot more of that fine detail that LEGO wasn't scared of showing back in 2002. Again, much like the goblins that we saw in Gringotts from the last wave, this is going to be one of the earliest instances too of short legs on a minifigure. Dobby does have a fun printed accessory that's included in the set, and that of course is the sock that he's presented with at the end of the Chamber of Secrets. Like many of the spell tiles that we saw in previous sets, you can actually fit that inside the book, which is so appropriate for the scene. And speaking of books, we get a brand new printed diary. It's done up in old brown and has got the inky hole smashed through it. There's unique prints on the front, back, and on the spine. Really, really nice element, and it's one that we're gonna see pop up again in the actual Chamber of Secrets set. But nice to get it here in the smallest set of the wave. For a mere 70 pieces, the set's got a lot of fun surprises too. There's a compartment hidden in the wall that's going to reveal another one of those classic Harry Potter 1x2 printed tiles. This one with like a bag of stardust, spider, and a bone, and it just fits into one of those 1x2 panel pieces and can be easily covered back up. And you've got another tile hidden beneath this desk. It just hinges up right there, and then you get one of those 1x1 book tiles in there. Super fun. So I do have the original instructions for this set, and unfortunately there's no alternate build for this set in particular, but we will see some down the line. These instructions are iconic for another reason, as they have a few little blunders in them. The most well-known being the fact that they have the wrong hairpiece on Lucius Malfoy. Not on the front in the set image, but throughout the actual building process. Starting with building the minifigure, and then also again when you have the completed set. Kind of funny, it's Draco's hairpiece they've got here instead of the longer one. And then I just noticed too that there must have been a bit of a Photoshop fumble here on the front because the glowing outline of the flames does not line up with the actual flames of the set. That's kind of funny. Beyond that, there is an ad for the first Creator Harry Potter game on that last page, and then you get the full lineup of Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets sets on the back. Small box sets like these are always the best. This one knocks it out of the park, especially with 2 exclusive minifigures. That's pretty dope. The next set, simply titled Slytherin, is one of the earliest that I ever featured on this channel. It remains surprisingly the only real playset version of the Slytherin common room we've ever gotten from LEGO. The banner set doesn't quite count for me. This would be a really fun location to revisit at some point. I feel like the designer could have a lot of creative freedom with a set like the Slytherin common room, and imagine all the wonderful trans green pieces that we would get. This set recreates the scene when Harry and Ron confront Malfoy in the Slytherin common room to find out whether or not he is the heir of Slytherin. So in addition to the common room, we also get a little polyjuice potion brewing table. Kind of fun. I always love it when these sets include the potions. Simple designs, but there's pretty much an infinite number of ways to build them between the cones, regular cylinders, and all the colors you got. And the polyjuice potion leads to some pretty interesting minifigures. Both Crabbe and Goyle can be transformed with the use of double-sided heads. Again, some of the earliest ever made from LEGO. Oh, I always get confused when who switches into who. According to Bricklink, at least, it's Harry Goyle and Crabbe Ron. We're gonna go with that. Unfortunately, you don't get alternate hair pieces for the transformation, but still pretty ahead of its time. For 20 years, this was the only set that included Crabbe and Goyle, which is absolutely crazy. And the third minifigure included here, of course, is Draco Malfoy. It's the same one that we saw in previous sets from the Sorcerer's Stone. The Slytherin Common Room build is actually pretty sweet, featuring a lot of exclusive prints to this set, like that beautiful Slytherin shield and the printed 1x6x5 brick of the common room door. It takes a lot of design cues from the 1x2x5 printed bricks that we saw in Hogwarts Castle, which is cool to keep that stylistic consistency throughout these 2 first years of the theme. You also get one of the classic 2x2 printed spell tiles, 2 snakes, an owl, gems, sword. There's all sorts of goodies in this set. Beyond the door actually opening up, there's not a whole lot to do with it though. This set was made to be compatible with a set from earlier in 2002, that is the Troll on the Loose set, though it needs some significant modification. You have to take out all these bits on top. And then as shown in the posters, you can stack Slytherin on top. Again, it would have been nice if these had been done in the more versatile 8x16 scale so that they could line up with other builds in the theme, but overall I really like this set and its unique aesthetic. The green accents and the printed pieces are a treat. And 3 minifigures, all with capes. Modern LEGO, take notes. That's good stuff. I do have the original instructions for Slytherin, and there is a fun alternate build shown at the back. The way the snakes are angled there definitely makes me think Slytherin Dojo. Really epic. I mean, there's only so much you can do with the limited amount of parts in this set, but I do really like the lamp design, making use of that goblet and the trans green disc on top. That feels very in line with the design of the main model. Then we get to the Dueling Club. It's crazy to think that this pretty sizable set here is made up of only 129 pieces. The sets of the early 2000s simply were built differently. Lots of large pieces, especially going into this back structure, which probably only has 50% of the piece count, and the actual dueling platform probably has the other half. The designers were not afraid to stretch those pieces as thin as they could to get you a bigger looking set at the end of the day. And there's definitely a lot of value in that approach. In addition to a substantial build, you also get 4 minifigures. Of course, you have Harry and Draco, and we've seen them plenty of times before. We also get the iconic glow-in-the-dark headed Snape. I mean, if his head didn't glow in the dark, how would you know that he's the bad guy? But the real bad guy here is probably Lockhart. And while the green costume he gets in minifigure form is not accurate to what you see on screen, I still love it. And even better yet, we're going to get another version of Lockhart in another Chamber of Secrets set. He's one of the only yellow skin-toned minifigures to get multiple costumes. And whatever his flaws, Lockhart always had great costumes, so I'm glad we get multiple minifigures of him. I mean, for its time, that hairpiece and that face print are pretty much perfect for this character. Having, of course, just reread the Chamber of Secrets for the first time in many, many years, I uncovered a few things that didn't quite make their way into the movie, like the fact that there was not just a 1v1 versus Draco and Harry in the beginning. It was every single student in the school just fighting each other in the Great Hall. I imagine that would have been very difficult to film in 2002 and probably very difficult and expensive to fit into a Lego set, but it was really funny to read about. As it is, we get a scene that more accurately reflects what it went into the actual movie. And we get this little dueling platform, and these green little knobs in the front do exactly what you think they do. They catapult our duelers, so you can act like they've cast spells on each other. Pretty cool. Interestingly enough, you can actually split the platform in half. This would make it a little bit easier to expand in the future to get a little more distance between the duelers. But of course, no such parts are included in this set, so you'd have to supply those pieces on your own. The largest part of the set here is built atop one of those 8x16 bricks, which makes it very compatible with the rest of the Hogwarts system of the time. With so few pieces going into it, it's going to be pretty easy to see what's going on here. There is a throne, interestingly enough, sat in the middle. A throne which, for decades, had the only two 1x1 sand green pips ever included in a set. It was only a few years ago that that Disney Haunted Mansion set actually brought that color back into production. Now it's all over the place. But for a while, those were pretty expensive to get your hands on. On the back of the throne chair here is a snake, so you can recreate the Parseltongue scene from the movie. There's a barrel here on the side to hold the wands, and then you get another 2x2 printed potion tile. Rather uncommonly for Harry Potter sets from 2001 through 2003, you actually have stickers in this set for the banners. Thankfully, whoever put the stickers on, because it definitely wasn't me, did a good job. They're holding up all these years later, and they're quite nice decals too, something that I think would fit into a mock very easily. Yeah, this is a really fun set with some great minifigures, and I'm really happy that it's compatible with the rest of the system with that 8x16 brick on the bottom. Though if I'm not mistaken, the height isn't quite in line with some of the first Sorcerer's Stone modules, but still, better than nothing.
Like last time with the set that I picked, I chose one that we haven't gotten before for the new era of Harry Potter. I think that having something here for the Dueling Club and this play feature here of them fighting, I think is a lot of fun. We have gotten it in this new era, but not for a fully dedicated set. I think it would be really great. Also, the build, it just reminds me of like something from Orient Expedition Adventures or something. I think that it's just a lot of fun. I like the figures in here too. Hopefully soon we get a remake or some new form of them, including this in a set.
Next up, we have a set titled Quidditch Practice. It would go on to be the first of many Quidditch themed sets over the years, but I think they got it right on the first try. Having retailed at only $13 back in 2002, you got a surprising amount of stuff in this set, including 3 exclusive minifigures. That includes, for the first time, Harry in his Quidditch robes. Surprisingly, the torso makes use of dark red rather than regular red, and I think that's a good call. Dark red wasn't a color you were seeing too much back in 2002, that's for sure, so it was really nice to see it show up here. Draco, on the other hand, is decked out in all regular green, which looks just fine. Interestingly enough, this figure would almost be recreated part for part in 2004, with the only change being the swap from yellow to regular light nougat for the skin tone. He's holding his black Nimbus 2001. The most exciting minifigure here, though, is Madam Hooch. Again, for 2002, looks really great, and she has a specially printed cape for the set, and that in many ways makes her a superior minifigure to the more modern versions of her that we've seen. Beyond that too, her torso is really well detailed, and I just really like this minifigure, and I cannot believe she came in this great of condition when I bought her used off Bricklink. So awesome. The most important accessories that should be included in a set like this are, of course, all the Quidditch balls, and you get everything you'd need right here in this chest. The set makes use of those pretty common Technic balls for 2 blungers, a quaffle, and then you get a chrome gold 1x1 rounded plate for the snitch. It looks awesome. Absolutely love that shine on it. The new mold that we have now, of course, is awesome, but nothing will beat a chrome gold finish. The set includes a catapult to launch the various blungers, quaffles, snitches, and maybe even players if you so desire. And then you even get 3 goalposts for the set. These are quite interesting, being made up of some really rare parts, including a 4 long, 6 long, and 8 long axle, all done in light gray. Typically, when it comes to LEGO Technic axles, the odd numbers are done in light gray and the even number lengths are done in black. This set really spices things up by just making them all light gray, and those were by far the hardest pieces to find when rebuilding this set. The rings of the goalposts are quite interesting too. That is the basketball rim from the sports line recolored here in dark gray. They work perfectly. Each goal is assembled individually, and so you can kind of put them wherever because they aren't connected. And then lastly, we get one of the stands. It's a pretty small build. Remember, this was a $13 set after all, but you can place a single minifigure on the chair. The stands do have one really fun secret. This front bit, which features a printed Gryffindor shield and a printed Slytherin shield, can open up to reveal a book. I assume this is intended to be Quidditch Through the Ages. Like all the books from the classic Harry Potter sets, you get a uniquely printed cover, spine, and back, which is awesome. This one's got gold printing, which just looks really great against the blue. This specific book will only be included in one other set, which we'll be taking a look at in just a few. This is kind of a funny addition too, but beneath the cracks in the bleachers, you can actually find some random wizard garbage. Yeah, it's just one of those 1x2 printed tiles again, but that's a fun touch. Perhaps the only thing missing from this set is some Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff representation, which can probably be said for all the Harry Potter sets ever. But rather interestingly, this set has a sister, one that is not very well known at all. It's this little thing here. This Hufflepuff slash Ravenclaw stand was a Toys R Us build-in-store exclusive. Very little is known about this set, but you can see a few pictures of it on Bricklink, which show you some official-looking instructions. Allegedly, and I have never been able to find pictures of them, there were 2 stickers that were included in this set as well. Shields for Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw that could be attached to this build. Beyond what you see here, there's nothing to this. There's no hidden items under the seats or secret compartment in the front. And if you put these things side by side, it's significantly shorter too. But it's a fun little Easter egg that even some of the most avid LEGO Harry Potter fans might not know about. Beyond the stickers, really easy to recreate for yourself. And now that I have this super rare Harry Potter set in my hands in person, I can definitively tell you it's not worth your time. Unless you find those stickers. Let me know. I'd like to see pictures of them at least. Next up is going to be Aragog in the Forbidden Forest. It's another medium-sized set that features a ton of variety in its package. To start things out, I need to highlight the 2 exclusive minifigures included in this set. We get Harry and Ron again, but they have new outfits. More casual wear rather than the regular Hogwarts robes. It's so great that LEGO decided to bring out new prints for this set when they could have reused the casual robes that were included in the Sorcerer's Stone wave. Both figures look awesome, and I really like that they went with the darker colors to match the creepy vibe of the forest. Everything in this set in that way works together really well. Of course, a set called Aragog in the Forbidden Forest wouldn't be complete without the titular spider himself, Aragog. Creature design has come a long way at LEGO since 2002, but let's face it, this is not the worst version of Aragog we've ever seen. Oh, that face is goofy looking though. The side build included here is a tree, which honestly is pretty respectable. You get all sorts of leaf pieces, which of course is a plus. And the thing is hinged, and you can hide an owl inside the tree. Kind of fun. You can hide anything you want, I suppose. The main model is set atop a 16x16 base plate. That's one of the thin base plates, not a regular plate. And there's a lot of spiders, as you would expect and want from a set like this. We've got 2 exclusive printed 2x2 tiles with different colorful spiders on them. Really like those. And then you also get some 1x1 printed tiles with spiders on them. Around the perimeter here, you can see 3 cobwebs, 2 of which have that classic single piece spider element. And then you get a dark gray owl here too. Now, the designers have taken some creative liberties with this set, which is really, really fun. So let's go ahead and put one of our minifigures here in the middle. And let's say that Ron sees this interesting looking handle here and wants to get a closer look as to what might be hidden inside this tree trunk. Getting greedy though and pulling this traps Harry inside all the webs. There's a set of those 4 chrome gold coins included in here. A treasure that, if you remember from both the books or the movie, does not exist, but I love it. So how does this rather complex mechanism work? There's one of those Lego string pieces, the one with one connection point on either end, that wraps its way all around the build. Pulling this section pulls that string in and at the same time brings in all the webs. That is such a fun and creative feature. Even if it makes no sense within the context of the story, there's a lot of fun that can be had with that. The build itself here might not look all that pretty, but there are so many fun elements included with all the plants, all the spiders, and the treasure. It's just great stuff. Lego sets have always shined when the playability comes before the displayability. I made a lot of memories with the set as a kid because it was fun, not because it looked the best. As a 6 or 7 year old though, I must say that if you had put enough plants on pretty much any build, I would have thought it looked cool. I do have the original instructions for this set, but unfortunately it doesn't look like there are any alternate builds, just another advertisement for the creator game. And then you get all the sets again on the back. Next up is a substantially larger set. This is 4728 Escape from Privet Drive, with 278 pieces and retailing for $30 back in 2002. In the set we get 3 minifigures, number 4 Privet Drive, and of course the flying car. Let's take a look at those minifigures first. Ron Weasley here is a repeat. He was included in a few sets from the Sorcerer's Stone, but the Harry variant we get here is new and exclusive to this set. That red sweater would never show up in any other minifigures for that matter. And then we get Vernon Dursley. This minifigure in particular holds a special place in my heart because it is a minifig that I picked up from the very first Brickworld Chicago back in, what was that, 2007? It was that long ago? That's crazy. And that would have made him the first ever minifigure I ever bought independently of a set. Truly, that decision led me down a very, very dark path. The flying car is something that's been done many, many times over the years, but there's a lot to love about this first version. I'm sure back in 2002, this would have had a lot of baby blue recolors for the time. Even with this first version, LEGO made sure to leave room for 2 minifigures to sit in the car, which is really, really cool. That's something we don't get with a lot of LEGO cars today. It's so essential for the story though, I'm really glad they made that a priority. You also get 2 chrome silver grates on the front. I think that looks especially awesome. And then I like the trunk piece here too, which makes for a nice and spacious trunk. You'll see here too that we've got another one of those string elements like that which was included in Aragog in the Dark Forest. That's going to be able to loop around that hook on Harry's window and pull it out from the house. That's a great little feature. It's no secret that LEGO has created a lot of new parts since this original car first came out, which have allowed them to refine that design to make something quite streamlined and polished. However, I do like taking note of what hasn't changed since this original. For instance, they're still using the same windscreen, the bumper's made up of those same 1x2 rail pieces, the doors are the same element. Yeah, all around a great build for its time. Then we get to the house itself. It serves as something of a dark orange battle pack, or as I would have called it back in the day, caramel. It looks nothing like Privet Drive as depicted in the movies, but it does make for a really fun set nonetheless. We see the return of those printed 1x2x5 bricks that showed up in the Sorcerer's Stone Hogwarts set, and that does a great job of adding some texture to the front of the house. There is a printed number 4, something that LEGO should have done in the most recent version of the house. Then you get this lovely detailed door to get access to the interior. The house here can be used to recreate scenes from both the Sorcerer's Stone and the Chamber of Secrets. You've got the cupboard under the stairs, though it's not much of a cupboard, but you can see what ends up being a little bed and a pillow here. And then beneath that, Harry's hidden his school things, such as his robes and his wand. In the main entryway, we get some sort of representation of a kitchen with 2 small tables, a cup, and a pan. I'm really not sure what's going on in the living room over here. There's a spider on the floor, and a really small table with a package, a trans red pip, and a black pip. If you have any theories as to what that might be, let me know. If you make your way up the stairs, you'll find your way into Dudley's old bedroom. In the bedroom, naturally, there's no bed, of course, but you have a shelf for some books. The set includes both a regular red and regular light blue one. No special prints on these, but I think that's plenty okay. It's kind of crazy that in LEGO Harry Potter, it was unusual to get unprinted books. Then there's either a pepper shaker or what is probably the least interesting potion color combination in all of LEGO Harry Potter, sitting here in the corner of the room. Like I mentioned earlier, you can recreate scenes from either the Sorcerer's Stone or the Chamber of Secrets, and you kind of can fill the house with letters, recreating that scene from the Sorcerer's Stone. If you turn the chimney here, you can press out these two printed letters, which is pretty fun. I never had this set as a kid, and so when I built it here for the first time, I was pretty surprised to find just how big it is. It's a very substantial set for a location that doesn't get a whole ton of screen time, especially in the Chamber of Secrets, but I'm glad they did it justice all the way back then. I think it would have been really nice, though, to have at least included Dudley. That's a minifigure that we wouldn't see until after the 2018 reboot, but you can't exactly have the set without Harry or Ron, and even Vernon Dursley does make a lot of sense in this set. It would be pretty fun to use all these figures here to recreate the scene where he falls out the window. And even if it isn't completely accurate, you gotta love a set that's done in all dark orange. Now, I'm very excited to introduce you to one of my favorite early era LEGO Harry Potter play sets, and that's Dumbledore's Office. It's the biggest set that we've looked at today so far, with 446 pieces, and these aren't small pieces either. This is a huge expansion to the existing Hogwarts castle. Being built atop 8x8 and 8x16 bricks, it is largely compatible with the other expansions that came before it, though it becomes a little tricky to place things on top because, well, it's all detailed up on top. But let's take a look at the minifigures included here first. We get Harry, of course, again. We also get Dumbledore making a return from the Sorcerer's Stone sets. And for the first time, we get McGonagall. Professor McGonagall here is fantastic. She has an elaborately printed dress piece and torso that looks really quite ahead of its time. No back printing to show here, but that's all okay because it's covered up by another cape. Check it out, 3 minifigures. 3 capes, all different colored capes too. I really wish that is something that could be brought back. It just adds so much to a minifigure, and it's like a piece of paper. It doesn't add any cost, LEGO. I know it doesn't. I love the way this set is configured so much. Much like in the actual story, Dumbledore's office has to be unlocked. Now, saying a password isn't going to do that for you here, but there is indeed a little locking mechanism to keep its secrets hidden away. If you pull out this scorpion on this really crazy looking statue here, I mean, I should highlight that for a second. We've got this dragon head, dragon wings, and then, yes, a dark gray scorpion down here. But that is indeed the lock. So you pull that out, it's got 2 Technic axles that hold the bottom floor together. With that separated, you can open these hinge sections outward, and all of a sudden this becomes a much larger playset. There's some really fun magical things going on this first floor too. You can use the chrome gold keys included in this set to unlock these little compartments, which feature some of the various printed tiles that have been included throughout the theme so far, such as the letter, the transparent blue spell tile, and the 1x2 bag of magical elements. On the other side, you get one of the vaults that was originally included in Gringotts, and inside of that is yet another letter. I suppose that makes this Dumbledore's little mailbox. And then you get one of the spiral staircase pieces that we saw introduced in the previous wave of sets. I think here, more than anywhere else, the staircase fits so perfectly. Of course, the big gimmick of these staircases is that they can turn themselves into a wall, basically. And then, as you spin it around, it actually becomes a fully fledged staircase, which pretty accurately recreates the scene in the movie. Pretty cool. Around the back, I should point out that there are beers on the wall. Interesting. Don't know what that means. I guess maybe Dumbledore's collecting some strange magical artifacts, but there's also another hidden entrance into the office through the back, or maybe it's Dumbledore's escape hatch, who knows? But I love that extra bit of imagination thrown in by the designers. It's just hinged on Technic pins here, and it's got some lovely transparent purple pieces. If we go up the stairs, we'll make our way into the actual office. There's some pretty cool features here too. We've got Dumbledore's chair, which rotates around. On the table here is the sorting hat. It's just a regular black wizard's hat, just like the one that was included in the sorting hat set. And if you haven't figured it out by now, most tables in LEGO Harry Potter open up, and this one is no exception. it hinges back to reveal another one of those 1x1 printed book pieces. You also get one of the herbology books here too. Honestly, you can never have too many of those. Behind all this is that potion shelf print that we saw appear in Snape's class from the Sorcerer's Stone line of sets. And this is all on a turntable too, so if you spin it around, you get access to the other chrome gold key. And you can use that to unlock more of the compartments down here. And then there's this crazy little mechanism up top. Just a bit of magical nonsense, which again, I think is the heart and soul of these first few years of Harry Potter. It's just a simple geared mechanism and it spins. And it looks really, really cool doing it. I love it. There's something about transparent Lego colors that kind of just scream magic. And then of course you have all these runes and magical symbols printed onto that 4x4 transparent disc. And when it spins, it creates this weird vortex effect. Really, really cool. All of this sits beneath one of those very specialized turret elements that we saw introduced with the last wave of sets as well. Specialized though it might be, looks really, really good. I think it fits the vibe of Lego Harry Potter in these first few years just perfectly. And just like that, you can close the whole thing back up again, lock it up, and you can see what it looks like around the side. I mean, as far as the early years of Lego Harry Potter goes, this is probably one of the most finished and polished looking exteriors that the entire first 3 years of sets has to offer. Not too shabby. Between its sheer size, playability, minifigures, parts, this is definitely one of the best Lego Harry Potter sets. It can be used as an expansion to your existing Hogwarts castle, but I think it looks really great all on its own too, which can't be said for all of the Harry Potter sets. I was really happy to find that I do have the original, quite massive instruction manual for this set too. The last few pages show some of the special features of this set. Yes, I suppose it is worth mentioning that you can take off the top and put that somewhere else in your castle too. That's a really fun feature. And there's Dumbledore using the secret exit entrance into the office. That's awesome. You can hide things under the table, of course. There's the keys in use. But the most exciting thing about the instruction booklet is the alternate build and a few extra steps to help guide you along in that process. Who knows what this first build is supposed to be, but it looks cool. I love how the designer has just piled up all the cool looking pieces on tables. I mean, that's like every kid's dream alternate build anyway. The second build is proper crazy. I mean, look at this thing. The way they've used the staircase elements to create this crazy backdrop to Dumbledore's throne room, that's wild. No idea what's going on here, but super cool. And then the last build is actually a dragon that you can create from the pieces included in this set, which checks out considering you've got so many of those parts making up the statue in the front. If you didn't get the Chamber of Secrets, this could also be a poor man's basilisk too. Really, really great stuff. Then of course, you got yet another ad for the creator game and all the sets on the back.
If you don't know me, my name is Holly, and out of this wave of Harry Potter, my top picks were between the Chamber of Secrets and Dumbledore's office, but I feel like ultimately, my favorite set has to go to Dumbledore's office. This is also my favorite Dumbledore's office that LEGO has ever done. I love the shape of it, I love the minifigures, I love all of the references. Overall, it is such a great playset, and most importantly, I think it still stands really well on its own, even when up against the rest of this Hogwarts system that they were doing back then.
And that's finally going to bring us into the Chamber of Secrets. And let me tell you, 2002's flagship set does not disappoint. There's a lot to love. In the set, there's 5 minifigures. We get Harry and Ron in their regular school robes, nothing new there, but of course essential additions to the set. For the first time, we're getting Ginny Weasley. Her earth orange hairpiece and faceprint are both exclusive to the set, and she makes use of the familiar Gryffindor robes that we just saw a few seconds ago. We also get Tom Riddle. Funnily enough, he's actually using Harry's hairpiece. A rather interesting coincidence given how much of the story is focused on showing the similarities between Tom and Harry, but his faceprint is exclusive to the set. And he's just got Slytherin robes, which of course is accurate for the scene. The highlight minifigure though is Lockhart. This is that second costume that I was talking about earlier, and this one is my favorite. This is probably one of my favorite LEGO Harry Potter minifigures ever, because not only does that printing look great, it's all printed at the top. Sand red, guys. That's a sand red minifigure. It's beautiful. Sand red cape. Yeah, this guy's pretty expensive to get your hands on the secondary market, but if you can pick him up for a decent price, totally recommend it. They're not going to be making any more figures like this. The hair and the face print are the same from the Dueling Club, But this isn't just the same printed torso slapped on a new color. It's an entirely different design, which is so cool to see. Yeah, that's an all-timer minifigure right there. Great, great stuff. I suppose you could count Fawkes here as a 6th character included in this set. This Fawkes is wild too. I'm kind of surprised he wasn't also included in Dumbledore's office, but I suppose it makes sense since Fawkes was just a little baby or just a very old dude in that scene. But here he is in all his glory. So you'll see that he's got 2 types of plastic, red for the main body, then it slowly merges into orange on the tail, and the tail actually has bars so that the minifigures can grab on when Fawkes hauls them all out of the Chamber of Secrets. The style in which this bird is done is unlike anything I've ever seen from the LEGO group before. The very blocky texture for the feathers, the highly stylized beak, there's all these really hard lines. It's beautiful in its own way. I'm not sure it fits with anything else from LEGO Harry Potter or LEGO in general for that matter, but you can tell a lot of care and passion went into making this something special. And the fact that there's just handholds on the tail is so brilliant. You also get one of those small holes at the top of the head where you could place an extra plume, and I think that would probably look pretty nice, though none are included in this set to do so. There's also a single stud on the back there, so you could give Fawkes a little backpack or something. Yeah, really crazy addition. Also absolutely massive, way taller than a minifigure. Quite a majestic mold right there. So I guess we'll, for once, go at this story chronologically. We're gonna start up in the girls' bathroom, which is kind of included in this set, in the form of a rectangular checkered floor and a single sink. But I mean, that's all you need to get into the Chamber of Secrets after all. By knocking down this lower platform, you'll create this sort of slide into the chamber. Super, super simple mechanism, but I really like how it's designed. And that's about all there is to say about this section. Again, built atop an 8x16 brick, so you can easily fit it into your modular Hogwarts. And there's a little snake hidden here on the back. Lots of snakes hidden in the Chamber of Secrets. Go figure. A lot of pieces in the set have gone into making sure that it looks really, really nice. It would have been really easy for them to just make, you know, the hallway, but they've got all these extra little turrets to make it feel more like a castle. These can all be easily removed. They're all built on 6x6 plates, and there's just some slightly different designs. For instance, this one's got a 2x2 potion tile on it. This one's got an owl. This one sits atop actually another sub-assembly, just a little stained glass window, which is really pretty. I really, really like that. Gives some extra height. It's just well thought out, looks really, really nice. But what this set is most well known for, and something you've seen already, is the fact that you can sit 2001's Hogwarts atop this, which is so cool to give that idea that the chamber is hidden beneath the castle. And when you've got everything grouped together, it makes for such an impressive and imposing model. An effect that the 2021 remake attempted, but just because it's like half the size, it just doesn't pull off nearly as effectively as these two massive sets from the 2000s. Descending into the chamber itself again though, we've got to talk about this basilisk. And it's here that I must apologize because I don't have all the pieces for this basilisk. In the actual set itself, the snake would have had two glow-in-the-dark fangs, which you'll recognize as minifigure knives. Those naturally are exclusive to this set and will set you back about $20 a piece on Bricklink. And I'm sorry, but I mean, I've made a lot of bad LEGO financial decisions in my day, but even I won't go that far. The truth of the matter is that they look really terrible anyway, so I've just put some regular teeth there instead. Beyond the goofy teeth though, the rest of the basilisk is pretty sweet. There are a lot of specialized parts that go into making this, and they're all printed too. This creature feels a lot more in line with LEGO's design philosophy than Fawkes does, and in fact it integrates some more common parts from the era, including these tail elements that we saw just earlier for Aragog's legs. There are some studs on the back too, which means that you can have minifigures ride the basilisk, which is always so important, and there's even enough room to sit a minifigure on the head. So you could have up to 3 minifigures riding this, and then probably a few in the mouth too. which is so awesome. The basilisk emerges from the mouth of Salazar Slytherin, which the designer did their best to recreate in 2002. It's recognizable and honestly not too bad at all. The bottom of the mouth is hinged on both sides, so it's easy to fit the basilisk through, and I feel you can recreate that scene pretty accurately. Good stuff all around. A lot of pieces go into sculpting that for sure. And then on either side we have these massive, what are they, 12 by 24 bricks? Not base plates, bricks. It's probably one of the single heaviest, biggest elements that LEGO has ever produced. It's a lot of plastic in that piece. And then there's all sorts of fun stuff built up on top of that, including 4 1x6x5 specialized printed snake walls. This isn't the same one that showed up in Slytherin, mind you. This is brand new for the Chamber of Secrets, and there's 4 of them. Obviously, we'd like to see them do actual statues rather than prints, but I don't know, this is still pretty cool. And it saves a lot of parts budget that arguably went into doing more important things. In terms of other cool pieces, you've got this really spooky shield print on either side too. There's lots of secrets hidden within these walls as well. On the left side, the walls are on turntables and they can spin to open and close. One side has the snake, and the other holds the Sword of Gryffindor. The Sword of Gryffindor is one of those larger chrome silver swords. And yeah, I know they have the specialized mold, which looks really, really good these days. But chrome silver, guys, nothing's ever gonna beat that. This one's in great shape too, wow. The other side looks the same from the outside, but it actually plays a little differently. Pressing down on this actually knocked the walls inward, revealing some more secrets. On the one side, you've got the sorting hat, and the other, you've got a less pleasant surprise in the form of a very poisonous looking spider. Even if exploding walls aren't accurate to the books or the movie, it's again another one of those instances where I'm so happy the designers just got creative and did whatever they wanted. It makes these sets so much more fun to play with and so much more memorable. The last accessory that I need to mention here is that we get another diary of Tom Riddle. It's the same one that was included in Dobby's release. I guess if anything, it might have been nice to have an unpunctured version and then get the punctured version in Dobby's release, but I am making that request almost a quarter of a century too late, so what you gonna do? Yeah, this set is awesome. I think the coolest part of it, honestly, besides Lockhart of course, is its ability to integrate so seamlessly into the flagship set from 2001. It was always my dream as a kid to be able to recreate that, and all these years later, it definitely has lived up to the hype.
Duckbricks here, and out of all of the 2002 LEGO Harry Potter sets, there is a clear favorite, and I'm gonna be honest, I kind of went for the obvious choice, but yeah. It's the Chamber of Secrets. I mean, a lot of it has got to do with this guy right here. The basilisk was such a cool mold, and honestly, I feel like LEGO still hasn't topped it, even with the 2 versions of the modern basilisk. It was just so inventive, utilizing some of the pieces they made for the dinosaur line at the time and making it all fit together. Definitely one of my top favorite LEGO animals. But even the basilisk aside, the thing that I really love about the set was that it fit underneath the original Great Hall, making your original sets taller and adding an extra dimension of play to those older sets. I personally love it when LEGO sets are modular and compatible with each other, so this was absolutely a treat, and I'm definitely a big fan of that whole system they had going on.
Before we get into the last 2 sets from 2003, it's worth pointing out a few of the promotional items that came out of LEGO Harry Potter in 2002. There were 4 unique gift with purchases that were exclusive to Hong Kong. They were called Harry Potter minifigure galleries. There's nothing exclusive about them except the packaging. Each gallery included an array of Harry Potter minifigures included in the other Chamber of Secrets sets. Gallery number 1 would have included Harry, Lucius, Madam Hooch, and the Green Lockhart from the Dueling Club. Gallery number 2 included Ron, Hagrid, Vernon Dursley, and Crabbe. 3 included Dumbledore, Draco, Ginny, Snape, and for some reason a pair of chrome gold keys. And then number 4 actually had 5 minifigures, and that's Dobby, Goyle/Harry, Hermione, McGonagall, and Tom Riddle. So yeah, there was some pretty rare minifigures put into these packs. And I'm not exactly sure how you would have got them, but I assume it was by purchasing other Harry Potter sets at the time. There was another rather interesting promotion that went on in 2002, where a boxed set of multiple sets was given to Japanese employees of Coca-Cola in 2002. Again, the only exclusive thing here is the packaging, and inside you would have gotten the following sets: Aragog and the Dark Forest, Dobby's Release, Hogwarts Classroom, interestingly enough, that's a 2001 set we covered in the previous video, Quidditch Practice, Slytherin, and then 2 green base plates. If I'm not mistaken, one of these is actually for sale right now on Bricklink if you're interested. That's a pretty rare collectible right there. 2003 was an interesting year for LEGO Harry Potter because there was no new movie to release sets alongside. So it was a pretty small year for the theme, only having 2 sets. But honestly, these are 2 of the most interesting LEGO Harry Potter sets that a fan could have. The first one is the humble but very beautiful quality Quidditch supplies. This is a really interesting choice for a set because it really didn't show up much at all in the movies. I think Harry was eyeing up the Nimbus 2000 in one scene for a few seconds. But LEGO decided to make a whole set out of it, and I'm really glad they did. We do get one exclusive minifigure here, and that's Draco in a new costume. Super simple, but no complaints here. I'm always down for a new figure. The shop itself is filled with all sorts of rare elements, like the printed sign on the front, the brown grate here, which is only included in one other set, Dragon Fortress from Adventurers. This is the other set to include a copy of Quidditch Through the Ages. Funnily enough, the light gray flag included here is exclusive to this set. And then we get a chrome antique brass pip, a color that technically only ever shows up in the 2 Durmstrang ships from 2005. I have to do some looking myself between the 2, but apparently there is a difference between antique brass and chrome gold. Antique brass has a bit more of a bronzer hue to it. It definitely comes through in the keys. The paint is just applied differently, and where the paint is thicker, it darkens a little bit. It's a really cool and unique effect. As you would expect from a store, there's all sorts of goodies on sale, mostly targeted only at Gryffindors and Slytherins. You've got capes, flags, a broom, the book of course, lots of fun printed elements in this set. Definitely need to point out that beautiful window. And I mean, it's all dark orange again, you gotta love that. The whole thing is hinged, so it can be kind of closed up. You'll never get a fully enclosed look with this set, but there's lots of different ways to display it or to have added it to your Diagon Alley back in the day. It pales next to the direct-to-consumer Diagon Alley from a few years ago, but regardless, this one has a lot of charm, and I really think it's one of my favorite sets, especially from this era. Quality Quidditch supplies might have seemed a bit out of left field, but one set that definitely makes sense, and that is dying to be remade, I might add, is Knockturn Alley. And it is one of the most bizarre sets too, because much like quality Quidditch supplies, it is covered in rare and exclusive parts. And it has 2 exclusive minifigures. We get a new version of Harry here with a sand green sweater. I wish I had noticed back when I paid $8 for this minifigure how badly cracked he was, but those were simpler times and I didn't care. And there is a beauty in that I wish I could bring back. And then, this is so interesting, we get a second version of Lucius Malfoy. He does play an important role in the Chamber of Secrets, but I still think there are other minifigures that probably could have benefited from another version before he got one. Regardless, I'm not upset about it. A new minifigure is a new minifigure. On top of that, it makes sense to have these 2 in this set. The weird looking side build over here is the chimney that Harry will use to access Knockturn Alley via the Floo network. You're gonna lift up this flap here, drop Harry inside, close it up, pull this, and Harry will maybe fall out. I think it's an overly complicated mechanism for what you're trying to accomplish here. It could have just been a hole that you dropped him in, but I admire the dedication. For over 20 years, this set was the only set to include 1x1 sand blue plates. Thankfully, last year they came in 3 more sets, which is great because I would have had to have paid nearly $5 for one of these plates to recreate this accurately. Actually crazy. The dark blue handle 1x2 here only comes in one other set. That's Scorpion Palace, also from Adventurers. And then just in general, these sand blue pieces are not common. They're getting more common, but for years, a lot of these were just exclusive. to this singular build. Morgan and Burke's here unfortunately doesn't have any signage on the exterior. I think that would have been nice to have had something like quality Quidditch supplies, but it's got a very recognizable and fun facade with the dark gray owls here, the flames, the huge window piece, and also light quality Quidditch supplies. It is hinged and there's a very fun interior on the inside. We've got the same register here, and then all sorts of mysterious dark artifacts, including a printed hand of glory like Harry encounters in his visit to Knockturn Alley. There's an exclusive green goblet, some potions, a trans clear head with a brain print on it. That's a piece that only is included in one other set as well, a studio set, Scary Laboratory. This table here with the goblet on it can be hinged upward and there's some spooky eyes and a nose on the other side. That's pretty funny. And that's about everything included here. Now that we have the massive direct-to-consumer Diagon Alley and Gringotts Bank, it would be great to get, you know, a $150 set of Knockturn Alley with Borgin and Burke's and maybe some more obscure shops too. We'll see if that ever happens, but those could be really cool sets, especially if they do a shop that isn't shown in the movie. There's so many ways you could take that. That is going to bring to a close this era of LEGO Harry Potter. It's a lineup of sets that really is so visually distinct from anything else that came after it. Not only because of the classic yellow skin tones for the minifigures, but also just because of the way the sets are built. I said it before in part 1 and I'll say it again here. There is a level of magic here that just hasn't been matched since. And then there's just the size of these sets too, which is kind of insane. The sets made for Chamber of Secrets pair so perfectly with the original Sorcerer's Stone sets too. You can tell that all of these were designed in tandem and meant to be compatible with each other. It makes a huge difference. While I'm happy for a lot of the changes that have come to the LEGO Harry Potter line, especially for all those wonderfully detailed minifigures we get these days, these older 2001 through 2003 sets are not overshadowed by any means. They're always going to be able to stand on their own as something wonderful and unique. Yeah, us adults love that screen accuracy and all those little details that we get on the exterior of the modern sets, but I think if a kid has the option to choose today between which sets they'd want to play with, it would be these. Even building these 20 years later, I found myself continually being surprised and engaged throughout that building process. The sets come together quickly because of their big pieces, but there's always all sorts of hidden details and surprises to keep you entertained along the way. But anyway, thank you as always for watching. This has been a really fun video to put together, and I'm looking forward to part 3 where we'll take a look at the Prisoner of Azkaban sets from 2004. You can see them all behind me here too, and those are my bread and butter. Those are some of my earliest sets and I can't wait to talk about them. But until then, you have yourself a great life, and I'll see you later.